We're mean, nasty bitches, and we fight for a living. Yeah, we're the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Glow! Join us for Glow right here every week on this station.
I used to feel down, but I hit the ground running, makes me feel alive. I was searching for the answers until I changed the question. I pulled back the curtain.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next podcast is set for one fall with, let's say, a 60-minute time limit. Introducing first, I am the host of this series from SuperFancom. I'm Retro Rick, and my guest this time is my pleasure to welcome from down under, from Australia, Scarlett Harris.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
My pleasure. Welcome to Have You Seen Any Good Rasslin' lately? So what do you do?
So I'm a writer. I write about pop culture and wrestling, of course. I've written for such publications as The Guardian, Harper's Bazaar, Playboy, Huffington Post, etc. I'm the author of the forthcoming book, A Diva Was a Female Version of a Wrestler, and that'll be out in March next year.
Fantastic. How'd you get into wrestling?
I got into wrestling as a young teenager, just watching it after school at a friend's house. And then, of course, everyone else stopped watching and I never did. Although I did have a brief period away for a couple of years, like probably from about 2010 to 2013-14, about when the WWE network started up again and wrestling became much more accessible to me. And yeah, been watching and writing about it ever since.
Nice. So who would you say were your all-time 5 favorite wrestlers then, and who do you like watching now?
So then I'd have to say Triple H. I know that's probably not a popular answer, but
I love Trips.
Yeah, he was my absolute favorite at the time. Also, probably like Chris Jericho, Randy Orton, and the Hardys and Lita.
Nice.
And now, I mean, my one and only is Sasha Banks. And I don't really watch men's wrestling anymore unless it's in the background. So,
fair.
You know, all of the women.
That's totally fair.
Yeah.
So, tell me about your book. What is it?
So it's a collection of essays. It's sort of like a cultural criticism on women's wrestling. It's loosely chronological, so like the first chapter is about Moolah and the women that she, held down. And then we sort of go into the Attitude Era, and then, the titular essay is A Diva Was a Female Version of a Wrestler. So
right.
That's just me sort of, talking about the branding of women wrestlers as divas and, what that has done. And then, I'm talking about like the Ronda Rousey and how problematic she is.
Yep.
I've got a chapter on the horsewomen, looking at like women's wrestling and the use of fashion and hair and makeup and that sort of thing.
Nice.
So there's a lot of, I don't think there's ever really been a book like this before. Most of the wrestling books out there are like, about the history of wrestling and that sort of thing.
History of the sport, and they're all mainly done by men.
Yep, exactly. And so this one is more, much more cultural criticism, which is, what I do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We'll get how to find it later on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, last time I did this show, originally it was going to be the WOW Women's pay-per-view Unleashed, but things didn't work out, so I'm trying to do that again. But this is another David McLean production. We are talking about Glow this week. But before we get into the episode of Glow, we're going to talk about the Netflix show Glow, which upon recording this, there is no new season, sadly.
Very sad.
Because I love that series. It was fun.
Yeah, me too. Not only for the subject matter, but I'm actually, my next book after A Diva Was a Female Version of a Wrestler is actually, I'm editing a collection on Genji Cohen's shows, so Orange is the New Black, Weeds, and Glow. It
Two
means
shows
a
that
lot
are
to
on
me.
my queue that I need to watch
Yeah,
eventually.
yeah. So,
Because I've always heard good things about Orange is the New Black, and I just never got around to it.
yeah, so I mean that's my favorite show, so I
Nice.
can't recommend it enough. Weeds, I actually have to watch before I start editing the book, and Glow. I mean, it goes without saying how much that means to me. So yeah, I was very sad to hear about the cancellation.
But apparently, I guess they're doing, like, at the time of this recording, they're doing a reunion show on video call.
Yeah, I actually watched one the other day.
Nice.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
It's like a voting drive.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I watched that the other day and cried, so that's where I'm at mentally.
Well, yeah, but let's now get into this episode of Glow. We watched episode 25 of season 1, which was just a random one I came across. It was just, I'll do Glow and I'll just take this one. I don't really know. But this episode was a thing.
Yes,
it
that's
starts-
one way to put it.
Yeah. It starts off with the face-to-face promos from the talent. Really good introduction to the show and the characters, which SmackDown started doing a few months ago, but then stopped. It was just like, if you've never seen the show, here's our girls doing promos. Then it cuts to annoying voice David McLean. I hate David McLean so goddamn much. He just has a punchable face.
Yeah, that's a good way to put that.
And the one we watched, I thought it was special just for me, just because it had act breaks and had commercials on it, which made it just a little more special for me. It was just like,
Okay.
oh, we're getting ad breaks. I love it. It's like an actual TV show. Nice. Our first act. So it was basically the face-to-face promos. David McLean speaking. Then we go to our ad break, which was for Push Pops, which I never liked. Head and Shoulders shampoo. Thunderbird for the Thunderbird auto ad, and some company of auto parts saying ADAP. But then we get to the show. I guess David McLean has his offices inside of a telephone booth outside the Las Vegas Strip.
Yes, it's very kitschy, and I think
Yes.
this is the first episode of the original Glow that I actually watched. I'm sorry for the background noise.
That's
I'm just
fine.
feeding my dog. If I don't placate her, she'll start barking, which every time I do a podcast without fail, she's got to interject herself in. So I'm just trying to keep that
what
at
type
bay.
of dog
Sorry.
and what's its name?
Chihuahua,
Nice.
and Lola.
Nice. That's cute.
So yeah, so this was the first episode of the show that I had actually watched, and I think, comparing it to Netflix Glow, which it really captured that kitschy
Oh, yeah.
80s
cheesy 80s style.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it was very 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Because, let's see. And apparently there was like a laugh track as he's calling his talent in the booth.
Oh, okay.
Like
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, like a Scooby-Doo laugh track as he's trying to crack jokes. Then we cut to the music video featuring the ladies.
Yeah, again, I think they did that like shot for shot in the Netflix.
Yeah, they did that scene in the mall, which I loved.
Yeah. And as you said, like it's a really good way of introducing the characters. I kind of wish that modern wrestling did that a bit more.
It'd be amazing. The only reason I know of this music video is because later on, like maybe like season 3 or 4, years ago in like AOL days, in the early days of the internet, I found a video of Sly Stallone's mom doing the intro with these women.
Yeah.
And I just
Wild.
I just love that.
Yeah.
But our first match is Spanish Red versus Tammy Jones, whose gimmick, I guess, is a little girl handing out candy?
I had feelings about this match.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah.
This
first of all,
this match was...
Yeah, like, not only was the wrestling atrocious, but, like, I found Spanish Red, not only her character was, you know, a racist caricature, but also her skimpy clothing was, like, you know, I was taken out of the match because I was so worried that her costume was going to, like, fall off or something was going to fall out. So I think this was kind of, like, a throwback to that, you know, when women's wrestling just wasn't taken seriously. It was just, you know, it was just about titillation, not like any wrestling skill at all.
Yeah, because the first half of this match is just a mess with a move in the corner half the time, and just trying to end the match quick.
Yeah, which for if that was the case, like it went on like way too long, I thought. Yeah. And actually, to Spanish Red's credit, like, she did know some wrestling moves.
Yeah, she tried, because she tries, like, a flying body scissors, but botches it.
And it's sort of like, I guess, what you sort of see on the Netflix Glow and what the women of the original Glow have sort of, you know, said in interviews and stuff, is that it's like they were taught, like, you know, a handful of moves,
right,
but no
actual training.
No way of how to put them together or to tell a story or anything like that. And I thought that was, like, really obvious.
Yeah. Then comes, like, Red, like, into the ropes and does, like, a crucifix and then pins Tammy for a 3, which was just, like, what even is this? The match ends. Then we go to Colonel Nanuchka, who's basically Zoya the Destroyer.
Yeah.
On the phone with her superior, who's making jokes about you're going, like, there's missiles in Houston, you know, the Houston Rockets. I love that joke.
Yeah, like, as an Australian, a lot of it didn't really hit for me, but I did love the real kind of hokey cheesiness, as you said, of all of the jokes and the skits and everything like that.
Yeah. Then we get another ad break, a promo for the TV show Columbo. Based a remodel with a dude with a big ass yellow jacket who I'm sure was connected to the mob. And for me, a personal throwback with a Meineke ad, since it's on the East Coast where I am, so I'm very familiar with that, like, area. Then back to the show with Colonel Nanuchka making fun of the California doll. Then we get match 2, which is Palestina, who's basically Beirut Mad Bomber.
Yeah.
And Attaché, who, versus the Southern Bells, which is basically Lacey Evans if she were a tag team.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my notes here is the only current wrestler who could find a home in Glow is Lacey Evans. So, there you go.
There are times where I love it, Lacey Evans, but other times I just don't want to see her.
Yeah.
And while their entrances are going, Palestina is praying on a rug, while the Bells are just making their way to the ring, and while kids are coming up to greet them.
Yeah. I mean, again, the Palestina character is very troublesome.
I mean, it was the sign of the times.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I did I thought Attaché was somewhat interesting.
I kept trying to figure out how to pronounce her name, so I just put A.
Yeah, I found her intriguing. Like, I guess the character was a bit less problematic than Palestina, but yeah.
It could be worse.
Yes.
You could have WEW with G.I. Ho.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's all but the episode is all but saying that, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I didn't mind this match. It was fun. Both teams were solid.
Yeah, I liked Palestina and Attaché, but I could do without the others.
Yeah. There was
I found like their outfits were just like you couldn't really see the moves because there was just so much going on, as opposed to Spanish Red who had like nothing on. Like where's the happy medium?
Yeah.
At least like women's wrestling outfits today, like it's more built for to be able to see the moves rather than either hiding or like titillating, if that makes sense.
Yeah. This was more like wearing bathing suits.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, oh, let's go to the mall and see, what slutty outfit we find.
Yeah, before like women knew about binding and stuff like that, like binding tape and stuff like that. So it was just like.
Exactly.
But one point during the match, Shay gets tossed out of the ring. Palestina catches Scarlett and trips her and ties her up with a rope.
Yeah. That was it was a bit much.
And her partner is just watching all this happen and not doing a thing. I'm like, really?
Yeah, and it was very the execution was not great. Like the ropes just swinging all over the ring. Like was she even secured to anything? I found it like embarrassing.
Yeah, then she gets into the corner, tags her partner Tara. She gets the tag. Then Attaché does a prawn hold and gets the pin for the 3. I mean, it was a fun match, and the rope spot was inventive, but it could have been done so much better.
Yeah, exactly.
Then we go to the Spanish kitchen, where Red is a waitress talking to a guy. As he said, he's the restaurant critic, who asks her what she recommends for a favorable review, and she answers, eating anywhere else. That's cute. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, as I said, I like the focus on the characterization, which you don't really get in wrestling anymore.
Yeah, I miss shenanigans.
Yeah.
NXT used to have.
Yeah, I think that might have been before I started watching, actually, because by the time I'd come in, it was
before
all
it
just
got
very...
to the network, it had tons of shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
And even McLean's later thing in 2000 with WOW, it was basically like this, but with wrestlers who could actually wrestle and shenanigans.
Yeah. Best of both worlds.
Yes. We get another ad break. WZLK FM Boston. Cy Sperling from the Hair Club for Men. The very funny Tracy Ullman show promo. Because Tracy Ullman is amazing.
Yeah, there's someone I recognise. Like her and Push Pops. That's pretty much all I recognise from these ads.
You would also know Tracy Ullman as starting point for The Simpsons.
Yes.
Yes. Then a ad for the Salvation Army.
Okay, we have that here.
Okay. Then we go to a doctor's office. And I forget who's like asking for a script. It was just some woman in like face paint, I think.
I don't know.
And someone told her, and the whole joke. This was like so groan worthy. Because she's in the doctor's office asking for a script because someone told her to go in for a GI series. I never rolled my eyes so much in 1 minute.
Yeah.
But again, the 80s, different time. You can get away with that in the 80s. Next match is Hollywood and Vine versus Susie Spirit and the California Doll. Or as I like to call the California Doll, Haley Ray from TNA right now.
Okay, I don't.
She was the one with the like the Bailey smiling face on her back.
No, I don't know her.
But this match actually was really good. It started off with a monkey flip. Then early shenanigans happen as like they throw her out of the as one of them is sent out of the ring and knocks into the post, and the sign for the show falls down. And then in the ring fight, and as you can see in the background, Susie is trying to pick up the sign as the cameraman is helping her out. Then Doll and Spirit put Vine into a figure 4, which gets turned into rowing the boat, which I haven't seen in years. That's where they like pull different legs and arms. Then Susie hits a split that barely makes contact. And just hovers over Vine as Doll like hooks in a crab. Then it just turns into more wacky hijinks as they get a volleyball net.
Oh, brother.
Then at one point, Spirit gets cuffed. And then she goes to the top of a top rope leg split, which doesn't connect. She's like 5 inches short. Yeah,
a lot of missed spots in this whole episode. Which again speaks to the fact that they can do the moves, but they just, don't have the in-ring skill to, cover their asses.
And then Hollywood and Vine get the win.
I do like that team, and I I think the names are quite inventive as well.
God, yes. Because you have the old two ladies from the Netflix show.
The old biddies, I think, is the tag team name.
Yes.
I can't remember what their individual names are. And like Melrose is is Hollywood and Vine in one person, essentially. So yeah.
Then McLean is in the ring. He needs to get the key to get the cuffs off, but Hollywood ate the key. So Doll bounces her until she drops the key. I mean, you can see that anywhere, really. And uncuff Susie. Then you go to the farmer daughter's letter, as she says she met a guy. Okay. If I knew who she was or cared, I would care.
Yeah, exactly. My thoughts as well.
Then we go to another ad break. We have Duddy Ford, 100.7 Classic Station, Cy Sperling again, a PSA featuring Dom DeLuise, and a Columbo ad again. Then we go back for a segment of Ask, which for a second I forgot what show I was watching because I'm only used to that from the Amanda Show. If you ever seen that show.
I did see that show.
Yes. Dear Ashley, that's me.
That specific skit has slipped my mind, but yeah, now that you've mentioned it, all of the really annoying skits are coming back to me now.
Yeah, the first Ask Ashley is like a creepy 85-year-old guy is asking to get young ladies.
Okay, say no more.
Yeah. Then the second is thoughts on asking for health advice. Then we get the worst joke segment, which is the Heavy Metal Sisters saying that David McClane invited the girls back to his hotel room for a strip Trivial Pursuit. And then the joke is, whenever he strips, it's a Trivial Pursuit.
I don't get it.
Neither do I.
Okay, good.
I guess it's because he's small, I guess? I don't know. You're just supposed to laugh.
Okay,
and
yeah. That joke needs some more workshopping,
Yeah.
I think.
Then tips from Tina Ferrari, aka Ivory,
Yay, Ivory!
who has never aged.
No. She's like a vampire or something.
Yeah, she really is. And she's always been bubbly and funny.
Mm-hmm. And can actually wrestle.
Yes. Her segment was how to get a man you want and try to flirt. Like, okay.
Okay.
It was Ivory. I always like anything she does.
Yeah.
She was like always one of my favorites when Sunday Night Heat came on. And she just annoyed the coach.
Yeah, because she did commentary on there for a while, didn't she?
Yes.
And then she just left and that was it.
Back to Ask Ashley again. Someone says she's worth her weight in gold and she wants to get a scale and... no. Is there one man I can count on? Yes, the mailman, 'cause they always deliver.
Fair.
Old joke, but a classic. and he always rings twice. Alright, another ad break. Defiance, featuring Jan Michael Vincent, who I only know from Rick and Morty. The weird as hell quartz electronic laser beam watch, which I was just fascinated by, just because that is the most 80s thing I've seen in this show. And it's only
And the
$10.
push pops. Don't forget the push pops.
Then the oh so ever funny 500 DATE for Boston Singles. Because 1-900 numbers were very new in the 80s.
There you go.
Yes. As someone who used to call them, I know all about them. I'm not ashamed to admit that. Then Points to Ponder with the California Doll. These were hit and miss. They were two things you can have for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Do atheists have holidays? If the ruler of Russia is a czar and his wife is a czarnia, are his kids called Zardines?
Okay.
It was a good attempt.
I wouldn't go that far.
It was a good attempt. I didn't say it did well, but it was a good attempt. Then we have the main event, which is the over-the-top rope battle royal for $10,000. So we have Palestina, Mina and Mika, the Soul Patrol, Chainsaw and Spike, Attaché, Hollywood and Vine, Colonel Nanuchka, who, as soon as I saw her, I instantly fell in love because I love that hair. She is adorable.
Yeah, she's one of the better characters in the show, I think.
Also, not many people can pull off short hair, especially white girls.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. Spanish Red, Matilda the Hun, the California Doll, Little Feather, Tina Ferrari, Ashley Kita, the Southern Bells, Little Fiji, Olympia, Mount Fiji, who's parodied in the TV show. This was a lot better than a few WWE Royal Rumbles.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it. And it's a good kind of way to see all of the
all the talent
characters. Yep.
Yes.
And again, it's several of the matches in Glow could be attributed to this. I feel like they watched this episode and drew a lot from it.
Yeah. Especially
if it's one of the only ones that's still accessible on the internet or wherever.
Yeah. Plus you got this is like the first season, so they're just like, we shouldn't really give too much shit to them because it was their first season, so they only just like, this is just like their first show.
Yeah, right.
I mean, but still, but at one point there was like a fire spot, but it was barely a thing. It was like the camera cut really quick to the fire spot. It was like, oh, that happened, I guess. You got the typical spot of everyone trying to toss out the heaviest person first, who was Matilda the Hun. Matilda the Hun. Then it was just like your typical battle royal with everyone doing their own thing. And then in the end, Colonel Nanuchka won, which is basically taken in the show as like the first episode. Then David McLean gives her match with Americana, who we never see during the show, by the way. I noticed that now. Nanuchka says she's willing to give David McLean the check for $10,000 because money means nothing to her. She's not the capitalist. She's not the capitalist pig. As Mother Russia is superior.
Which I believe like a almost verbatim quote in Glow.
Yes.
So.
And she even does the accent like Brie. So it works.
Yeah.
And then Dave says she's got her match, and the fans yell for Colonel Nanuchka to beat up David McLean in the ring. Then
finally, something I can agree with.
Yes. Because he's also doing the announcing during these matches. And I just tuned him out for half the time. Then you got hooded figures at the bar cutting jokes on Tammy and Mount Fuji, saying they were golfing. And not only did they hit a birdie, but they also hit an eagle and a bird and a groundskeeper. You get it? Because they hit a birdie, so they did good.
Okay.
Another ad break featuring the dumb laser beam watch. Cy Sperling again. The ad for an answering machine.
Wow.
I used to have one. Did you?
Actually, no, we never did.
Papermate steamroller pen, which I was intrigued by. And Dale Earnhardt's Peak coolant for your car. And then the girls dance and rap to end the show.
Mm.
And then after that, we get Dave in his phone booth office, getting a call from Vince, quote unquote. And he tells Vince that they got renewed for a season 2. And Vince says his shows will have no excitement nor action, and it's just gonna be all hype. And David says, "What would you call it? Vince-a-mania? Because WWE equals bad." And right about then, I just wanted to find him and just punch him in the face. But I get it. Even back then, people shit on WWE. But this was more or less deliberate than AEW does.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to these bits. Your favorite wrestler of the night? If you
Well,
have
I did, as much as I panned her, I did think that Spanish Red did a good job of the wrestling, but probably my favorite is Ninochka or Hollywood and Vine.
For me, California Doll. I just found her entertaining, and Tina Ferrari, Ivory.
Yeah.
Least favorite?
I mean, the Southern Bells?
Fair.
Maybe?
That's fair. That's totally fair. Southern
Yeah.
Bells or the reoccurring ad with Cy Sperling for the Hair Club for Men. Favorite match?
Probably the Battle Royal.
Okay.
Yeah, I was captivated by the first match as much as I criticized it. I think if it was shorter
Yeah.
and punchier, it might have been better. But yeah, I think for what the show is, the Battle Royal was probably the best, representation of that.
Right. Least favorite?
The Southern Bells versus Palestina
same.
and Attaché.
Same. Favorite moment?
Probably the commercial at the mall, just because I was like, hey, I've seen that before.
Yeah, I know that reference.
Yeah. And I thought the intro was good as well.
Yes.
And the outro, they were doing something different.
Yeah.
And something that set them apart, and I could appreciate that.
Yes. For me, it was anytime Colonel Anushka had those jokes, and anything with Ask Ashley. 'Cause
Really?
I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. That's my type of humor. I enjoy stupid humor.
Okay.
Because I love 80s humor. I can't help it.
Okay. I'll let you have that.
Thank you. Least favorite moment?
I mean, yeah, when you were saying, we've got this skit and then this skit and then we go to an ad and then we've got this skit, I was I didn't really notice it at the time, maybe because I was, skipping through the ads and,
Right.
doing other things and stuff. But I did think wow, as much as we criticize WWE and things now for not having enough wrestling and being too heavy on the skits and the backstage segments and stuff, the Glow is really
I mean, if you think
he
about
put that on heavy. So
looking at this and looking at the WWE product now, nothing's changed.
yeah, exactly. So
People are
probably
people just bitch to bitch.
So yeah, probably too many skits. It's hard to
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to choose just one.
No, I can tell you mine. It was the heavy metal sisters talking about Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, and if you're gonna have like shitty jokes like that don't land, like let's just focus on your intro and outro, which is really strong, and let's like we don't need the extra stuff.
Okay, so time to rate the show from 5 stars, Gemmint and Prazak, to from positive 5 stars to negative 5 stars. What would you rate it?
Oh God, like maybe a 1, like a positive 1.
Better than. Okay, I gave it a 2. I mean,
I wasn't expecting there to be negative options.
Yes, I love doing that bit because usually this show is for like movies, so we rate like on a scale of positive 5 to negative 5, and that's always funny.
Okay, yeah. Look, I would say based on like the wrestling and stuff, in the negatives, but for the characters and what they were trying to
bored by it, right?
No.
Right. So
like
that brings it up a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah. I'm gonna stick with my 1.
All right. I mean, I give it a 2.5 just because it was interesting.
A positive 2.5.
Yeah, positive 2.5.
Okay.
So
sorry,
yeah.
I cut you off. What was your reasoning for that?
Oh, just because I liked what I saw of like the skits. It very much felt like the Glow series. It had that like season 1 of Glow like feel, because the girls didn't really know like how to do anything, and they were learning as they went.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't anything special. It wasn't that bad. I was entertained. I had a few laughs. And if you're bored by wrestling, then...
Are you watching it?
Yeah, go watch something else.
Yeah.
Okay, so that ends this. So where do we find you, and where do we find your book when it releases?
So you can find my writing at my website, scarlettwoman.com.au. That's Scarlett with 2 T's. You can also follow me on Twitter. I'm at Scarlett E. Harris. Again, Scarlett with 2 T's and Harris with 2 R's. And you can pre-order my book through Fayetteville Mafia Press. And I can send you a link to that to put in the show notes or whatever. Or again, it's like be on my bio.
Description box below.
Yeah, and it's on my bio and on my website as well.
Yep, which will also be linked in the description box below for anyone who cares, listens, and wants to know more. So this was fun.
It was. Thanks for inviting me on.
Ooh.
And on that note,
yes. I'll do the what's coming up next really quickly. For our next show, there is the Royal Rumble 97, the WCW Super Bowl 93, ECW Hardcore Heaven 97, ICW Fight Club 45, a Raw from 2003, a Nitro from 97, Sin, and ECW Heaven 94. 94. Let me spin this wheel. Lands on... Oh, great. A Raw from 2003. Kill me. But thank you, Scarlett, for being on. This was so much fun.
it was. Thanks again.
Yes, I enjoyed it very much. I hope to talk to you again in some capacity, other than Twitter.
Yeah, well, maybe you'll have to have me on again once my book comes out.
Yes, I would love that.
Sounds good.
This has been Retro Rick, and with Scarlett Harris, we will see you another time. Good night.
Winter